good. Hi, Shayna.
Hi, Carolyn. Nice to
How are
see
you?
you.
You too. Happy uh, late Thanksgiving,
December.
early Christmas.
Yeah,
Happy December.
I can't even believe it, but also it's been a long year.
It has been a long year. It's like been long, but it's gone really fast too, all at the same time, which is baffling to me.
It is. It still feels kind of like we're stuck in March, at least in my brain, but so much has happened since March that it's like, okay, well, we're clearly in December, but there's
Right.
no snow out my window, so that's part of it. Still
Right.
feels nice.
Right. It's dark at like 4 o'clock. I don't
Indeed,
understand
indeed.
that. So, hi, we are here.
We are here. This is our first video, and we're like bringing our candid conversations to the public, to the
Yes.
World Wide Web, because we feel like it's really important that people hear from another perspective.
Yes. So, Dr. Shayna, you are an amazing, brand new naturopathic doctor
Mm-hmm.
in the Paonia, Crawford, Hotchkiss area. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And you're doing some amazing work with people. Why did you choose this path to go on?
So, yeah, that's a big question. I was sick a lot when I was a teenager, mental health issues, gut health issues, pills galore. I mean, I stayed away. I was like a good kid because I had all these psychiatric meds I was taking, which only exacerbated many of my symptoms. It really wasn't until I was in my first year of college, end of high school, that I started having really bad pain in my gut, in my stomach.
Yeah.
I had 4 emergency room visits before a amazing ER physician was like, "It sounds like you have stomach ulcers." And I was like, "Well, the other doc already told me no, that's probably not true because I'm too young," is what they said. He was like, "Well, here's a GI cocktail," and for the first time in months I could eat. And I was like, "Okay, I have a diagnosis. I do not want to continue down this path of taking all these medications that I had been on because I had heard about nutritional deficiencies with proton pump inhibitors." I brought this to my MD and he was like, "Nah, don't worry about that."
How old were you?
I was um, between 17 and 19 when this was happening. So diagnosis, and then I found out about the nutritional deficiencies around 19 when I was in college. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and so I went down this path and I was like, aloe juice and olive oil is what I was chugging, and it was not the most flavorful concoction, but man, once I could start eating again, my life improved dramatically. So I
Sure.
found a naturopathic doctor. I was on my path to becoming an MD. I knew about the MCAT from the time I was like 10 or 11 years old. I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. Here we go. And then I got sick, and it shifted my prerogative of how I wanted to treat people. I joked and said I would end up in a padded room if all I learned was drugs. Drugs have their place, but I
Sure.
don't think they have their place for every single acute and chronic illness that we use them for. And so I
Right.
wanted
And
another option.
yeah, having that other option and knowing that there was another option. You had seen many doctors, you'd still been in pain, how's that current path that you're on? How's that working for you right now? When that's all that, people are keyed into going to.
Mm-hmm.
Something's wrong, I go to the doctor. Something's wrong, I go to the doctor. They give me something, it goes away, it comes back, I go to the doctor.
Exactly.
There's
And
got
it's
to be
usually
another
more
way.
pills.
Yes,
Have another pill. Oh, it's not working. Let's put you on a different pill. Or let's put you on 3 pills. And it's just like, ugh. That's just
because
like,
that one pill is going to really screw you up, and you're not going to poop, or
probably.
you're going to feel like garbage, and oh, and you shouldn't drive anything, and it may cause you seizures. So to prevent all of that, we're going to get you 2 more to take care of all of these other things, when, like you said, nutritional deficiencies are just you know the groundbreaking, earth shattering kind of information that nobody is taught and nobody talks about because nobody is taught it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And what about you, Carolyn? How did you end up as a health coach, nutrition specialist?
Yeah. So, kind of the same path, although it wasn't with myself, it was with my grandparents. My grandfather specifically, that he, after my grandmother passed away, this was the mid 80s. Grandpa's health started going downhill, and he went to the doctor. He started retaining fluid, but in my, at that time, 10-year-old ears, I heard retaining water. And so I began thinking, water is bad. And so he ended up going to a doctor that put him on diuretics and did not prescribe potassium along with it. So his electrolyte imbalance and everything else, he continued with the edema and all of this until he passed out. And finally, we had to get an ambulance out there and get him to the hospital. And he started seeing a pulmonologist. So Grandpa could have been better at the beginning of all of this if the prescriptions, like we were just talking about, were done correctly. And so immediately at age, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there, I saw firsthand what happened when there was misdiagnosis. And then they put him on a not low, 0 salt diet. Wow. Which then, of course, the whole family incorporated. So I'm thinking water is scary and I'm not getting any sodium in my diet at all. And we're on well water, by the way, in Douglas County, which comes into play a little bit later with a bunch of thyroid stuff. So just from the beginning, knowing that, maybe they don't know everything that we think that they know. And it made sense to me that, growing up in the church, that, God gave us all of these things on the earth for a purpose. Nothing was created by accident. Everything was created with purpose and intention, and for our good. Now, granted, our own humanness can go overboard on certain things, and, then that can cause problems too. But we can go overboard in eating just to fill the time, just to make us feel better. We have comfort foods. They're called comfort foods for a reason, because they bring us comfort, when actually it's not even the food that's giving us comfort, but the memory. Just that smell, just the aroma. I could go every day and smell onions and celery being sauteed in butter, and that's going to make me feel like Thanksgiving is here and my grandmother is here. I don't need to eat it, but it's just the smell. So anyway, so just kind of like a lifelong journey of being in sports, and kind of just knowing that there's got to be something else that we're missing. Yeah. And I was introduced to a doctor that you're familiar with, Dr. Joel Wallach and Dr. Peter Glidden, and I started working with them, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is my answer. Hallelujah. Because nutritional deficiencies, Dr. Wallach has secured the fact that there's over 900 diseases in this world that are caused by nutritional deficiencies. And if we can just get our nutrition right, it doesn't have to be perfect, but good gravy. We have a lot of improvements that we can do. And so that's what got me to here. And I just love helping people realize that they have so much power, and that they have the choices that they have, and the things that they can do to improve themselves and their own health on their own, and being in that preventative state of mind, it's going to change the world. Yeah. So it's so great to work with you, to find like-minded women in this world that are like, there's another way, and we can help you find that other way.
Mm-hmm. I want to touch on something, because as a person that is faith and believes in a greater energy, entity, creator, God, whatever universe you want to call it, it's in my book, it's the same. I came back from a trip to New Zealand, and I was taking a developmental biology class in college. And that's basically like how like the sperm and the egg or whatever the things are that create a baby or a fetus come together, then all of a sudden these cells that are like exactly the same know to go to become an arm bud or a leg bud or the tail bud or the head, and then they like migrate and move around, and I'm just like, how do they know, that in this particular spot that's the thing that they become? Like, where is that information coming from? And I was like, this is innately intelligent. What is going on here? And for my mind, it brought my faith back. Studying science brought my faith back, because I was like, there's no way that like this is like just mechanistic and 1 + 1 = 2. Like, no, there was something else in this equation that's not being discussed, or that we can't quite quantify yet. And so since then, it like there's this whole other connection in the natural or alternative health world, is like mind, body, spirit, mind, body, soul. That soul aspect is such a huge part of people's health. I ask every one of my patients, like, do you have a spiritual or religious practice? If not, are you open to exploring potential? Because I think it makes a huge difference in someone's health. And there have been cases and cases of, the people that had faith and had belief in something other than like, I don't even know, other than nothing, I guess,
Right.
do better, and they actually have better health outcomes than those that don't. And so that is always interesting to me. I don't care how you get there, as long as your health improves for the better. So we're going to quantify it. What is your health outcome? And if believing in God or Jesus or praying and meditating or praying towards Mecca or whatever it is, brings you that joy and that internal peace, that's a huge component of health too, in addition to large amounts of nutritional efficiencies that are ubiquitous throughout the world.
Well, absolutely. And Jesus even said, your faith has made you well.
Yes.
You can, I work in I dabble, if you will, with a little bit of genetic health and wellness as well. And what you are brought to earth with, and what you are made up of, is all very critical. But you touched on that piece of how do those cells know what to do, and that intelligent design that is specific for every strand of genetic code, has a specific purpose. And if you cut yourself, you have a cut, and suddenly you're like, oh, looky there, it's growing back together. I didn't direct it. I didn't put a something on it. I didn't go to the doctor and the doctor do something specific.
Nope.
We've been cutting ourselves and scabbing and growing new skin and healing ourselves since the dawn of creation. And what we don't need is the interference. And I think that's so much what we get now is like, we think that there has to be something, or somebody has an answer that we need to go and seek. And you go ahead, go get a diagnosis, please. See what's up. If you need to do a lab test or whatever to kind of direct you, that's fine. But your body knows. When you know that you're not feeling well, or you're like, man, I'm just a little more tired than I should be. Well, go take a nap. See if you just need some sleep. Yeah. And I think people forget to be tuned into their own body, and then that they have so much power in going, oh, I don't feel like eating. I'm not really hungry. Okay, then don't eat. It's okay. Right. You will be okay. Because when your body is like, I don't want food, there's a reason for that. It's doing something. Your body is constantly scanning itself for what it needs and where it can go get what it needs. And when we keep interfering, either with pharmaceuticals, environmental stuff, toxins, mold, all of these things that are in the air that we can't see, the respiratory stuff that's out there, and then you throw food in there, and you just kind of get in the way of the body's ability to do its own thing.
Yeah, fever is a good example of this. Is we in modern medicine are like, fever is bad. Take the antipyretic, which reduces your fever. And actually, like, there's a reason the body creates a fever, and it's because it's an immune response. So we have these inflammatory cytokines, is what they're called, and those cytokines are these little tiny chemical messengers that say, hey, we've got an invader, and what are we going to do? We're going to warm the body up so hot that that invader can't function and replicate. So we want to kill them. Okay, people get all worried. Okay, well, I have 101-degree fever. Okay, I really don't get too worried until we get 104.5, 105, 106. But I, as a doc, will be there by your side and help you break that fever. Good luck if an adult actually gets to 102-degree fever. I like jump up and down for joy when I hear adults get that way, because we're so suppressed as adults, because we have so much crap that we've been putting into our body, whether it's food, whether it's consuming television, reading bad, not good things for our psyche, drinking too much, smoking too much, all the things that are so much fun and enjoyable in some aspects. And kids, they get those fevers. They get straight to that 105-degree fever, and maybe even will have a febrile seizure, which actually is not an indicator that they will continue to have grand mal seizures later in life.
Right.
It's they just have a very strong immune system that says, I react. Yes, I react.
Yeah.
But it's also really scary for parents to allow their child who feels terrible when they have a 105-degree fever to continue that cycle. But there are ways that we can build that body up so it can break that fever quicker, so the child, so you, the adult, can start feeling better sooner. But what is important, something you mentioned, is like rest. I just had someone hit me up on Facebook, and they're just like, oh, I'm sick. I tested positive. What do I do? I got to get back to work. And I was like, girl, you need sleep. She was like, I have been working like 20 hours overtime. I'm like, you need sleep in capital letters, sleep and water, sleep, sleep, sleep. And the other thing with the fever that you were talking about is like, most people are not hungry when they have fever. Why? Because your body does not need the disturbance of dealing with digesting food right now. It is dealing with an invader pathogen, an invader bacteria, invader virus, whatever, and it is busy doing its job. The body can only do one big thing at a time, and that is either fight the fever, fight the pathogen, or digest your food. So a lot of times people will end up with like an upset stomach when they eat, when they have a fever, because it's just sitting there, because the body does try and create a priority system, although not all the time does it pick the correct priority, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it goes off of, previous experience too. And back into the mind about experiences as a child too, where, if being sick as a child, this is real life stuff. Not every home has mom at home or dad at home, anybody at home,
parents, yeah.
Period. If a kiddo gets sick, and that ends up meaning that mom and or dad or sole care provider can't go to work, and they're losing income. Either one, caregiver has to go to work anyway. Okay, so now caregiver is freaking out because kiddo is homesick. Okay, if they are the parent that has the kids stay home instead of sending them to school being sick, but kiddos at home, so either they're alone, they're not having warmth and that just the care aspect that can help heal so much, even without anything else, just having somebody there in a loving manner, or then they're not getting water, they're not having warm water, they're not they're wiping their nose and it's going in their eye, or they're all of these different things that go into care that is just beyond medicine.
Yeah, you touched on a really important part, and that's the socioeconomic status. And lower socioeconomic status of anybody, especially underserved areas, are they're at higher risk of having more serious chronic health conditions later in life because they've had to work 3 jobs to make ends meet. They didn't have an option. That was just to pay rent and keep the lights on, let alone care for children if they're a single parent home. And it's just, yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms that is complicated and maybe unnecessary. And what is something I learned recently is oftentimes families on welfare are like 3rd and 4th generation families. The kids see it, the grandkids see it, and they're like, well, this is the only way.
This is it. Yep.
And I'm saying no. I'm 3rd generation on welfare. My nieces are 4th generation. I'm saying no more. My children will not be. And it's not that I'm too good or better than. It's like I see that there is other possibilities beyond what Section 8 and public housing has to offer. And it's a good stepping stone, but it is not the end. And it's not the end. It's not the only opportunity. And we can go beyond that if we get past our own preconceived inhibitions that say, but I can't, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough.
Right. Yeah, that's, you know, a lot of the work that I do with having private health coaching clients is a lot of that mindset of you have value. You are enough. You are worth everything.
Yeah.
And I will give you everything I can to help you see that. And it is a critical piece of, I can only speak as a woman because that's what I am. So I don't know how a man's mindset works, but I do know that, you know, women have, you know, 80,000 thoughts a day and 60,000 of them are negative.
Yeah.
You know, and adults as a whole are carrying a lot of stress, but so are the kids.
Yeah.
And so then it goes back to, you know, like we were just talking about when you're sick, okay, what does your mind know about being sick? Okay, I know there was a lot of stress involved. I know I had to go to school anyway because there's nobody home to watch me, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So then as an adult, okay, now I'm sick. I don't know what to do. This stresses me out. Your gut gets in such a bind because your mind and your gut connection is a science in of itself.
Very real and very much affects our mental faculties.
Yes. You know, and so there's a reason that you have that gut intuition because, well, it's telling you stuff is going on. And you you just sit there and you're like, wow, my body is pretty smart. I should listen to it. And I should, you know, maybe talk to other people that understand how keyed in to the self the body is. And who's going to listen to me? If you go into a doctor's office and tell the doc, hey, my body is telling me this, what do you think?
Crazy.
You're gonna walk out with a stack of prescription papers like this deep, and you know, your kitchen table's going to be full of orangish amber colored bottles.
Yeah.
Because there's unfortunately the common thought is that we need medical help. And I'm going to tell you, yes, if I'm having some dental work done, hit me with the Novocaine, please. Or just, you know, let me go to sleep and I'll wake me when it's over. I'm all for that too. But, you know, other than that, you know, like we were talking about before, granted that our ground doesn't have any minerals left in it for our foods to grow wonderfully in. And, you know, we can go on a whole nother tangent about the health of our soil. But, you know, but just get some real food and get some real sleep and get some real hydration and, you know, just self-care. Self-care is just so critical. Self-talk, who you're spending your time with, your environment, both, you know, the air that we breathe and then those people. I think toxic people can be just as deadly as toxic mold. You know, who are you surrounding yourself with?
Yeah, one of my mentors says, you are only as healthy as your environment. And
Wow.
I really love that because, yes, it's your home and maybe you have mold, but it's also the people you surround yourself, the community you spend time with. If I'm a heroin addict and I'm only spending time with other addicts,
Mhm.
you know, what's the chance that I might actually be able to pull myself out of that addiction into the purpose that I was made to pursue in this lifetime? It's
Right.
very slim. And my understanding, which is minimal on addiction, is you actually have to like be no more friends with any of those people, and you have to start over in a new community with people that want to understand. And I think we had talked about a movie that Sandra Bullock was in, 28 Days, where
Yeah.
she was a partier, she was an alcoholic, and she tried to go back after she got clean to that same group of friends, and she's like, you guys are just, you're here and I'm over here, we're doing something different now.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what has to happen, and it's hard. It's really hard when you have, you know, 10, 15, 20 years with friends, maybe their family.
Right.
I chose to go no contact with some of my family members, and Jacob tells me all the time, he's like, you are so much less stressed out just because I don't have this toxic personality. I love my family and I love them from a distance because that's the best thing for me.
Right.
It may not be the best thing for them, but I hope that they come around and maybe we can actually have adult conversations, and like come to a compromise. It's like,
Mhm.
I need, you need, and it's not me being selfish by choosing what my needs are. I am not helpful if I'm not taking care of me. I'm not helpful to anybody.
Right.
So
Right.
self-care is not selfish. It is in fact 100% necessary, and it's required in order to cure and recover from many health chronic conditions.
Right. There's that that piece about who you're surrounding yourself with. You know, you become like the five people you surround yourself with most often.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, and it's not just people. It's what you're feeding your what you're putting in your ears.
Mhm.
News, social media, stigmas, judgment. You know, all of this stuff. It's one thing to be informed and to have an idea as to what's going on. It's not like you want to be who was that? Oh, Michael Douglas in the movie Romancing the Stone back in the 80s, where he's down in Colombia forever and he didn't know what was going on in the world. He's just in the rainforest. And then he reads that the Doobie Brothers broke up or something. And you know, you don't want to be that far out of the loop,
Right.
but you don't want to be so inundated and saturated where it consumes your thoughts. You know, the thought of fear, fear of loss, fear of poverty, fear of ill health. Um, those are the things that get at people, and because the world knows that's what gets at people, that's what's going to be right up in your face. Um, you know, watch out for this. Don't go do this. Keep yourself here. I mean, you and I have talked before about just everything that's going on this year in 2020, and you know, what is 2021 starts in just a few days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever today is, December 3rd.
Third. Mhm.
So we have 28 days to launch into a new year.
Yeah.
And how much of 2020 and all of its garbage are you going to bring with you?
Yeah. And
I don't want to bring that with me.
I don't either. And I also am like an eternal optimist, which is like has its downfalls, right? But it keeps me like focused on something good and better than where I'm at right now. And there's actually been a lot of good that I've had happen this year. And I keep hearing 2020 dumpster fire, what a waste of a year. And I feel like I am less anxious. I am more gun ho. I'm more motivated. And starting a business, people are like, good luck, sweetie, starting a business. Rural, good luck starting a business by yourself during a pandemic. Like, good job. Like, you know, like patronizing me like I'm a child. And you know what I think?
I do know what you think.
That's what I think. You make the world you want. If you think that the economy is not a good time to start a business, it's not for you. I think it's a great time. You know why? People are at home. People are no longer having to have their serious long commutes. I was doing an hour commute when I was living in Seattle. Yuck.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. I have 2 hours left in my day where I
Right.
can work out the way I want to that feels good for my body. I'm not a gym person anyway, so I have like a small home office or
Right.
home workout, you know, some weights and rollers and, you know, blah blah. It's like be self-motivated. I'm now able to cook more meals at home. Like my husband's mom was like, I have never cooked this much at home since I can't even remember. And how much more control do we have over what we choose to consume than when we create the food ourselves? And we're actually able to stimulate digestion from the beginning, which starts here.
In your
Smell. The
Right.
moment you start smelling, it triggers a signal in your body that starts salivary glands, so you can start digesting simple carbohydrates when you're chewing your food, and not
Right.
just one big chew, like you chew your food and then you process it, and it actually tells your body like, hey, ding ding, it's time to move that stool down, and like we're gonna have a bowel movement soon. In an ideal world, we're having bowel movements after our 2 largest big meals of the day. That's and people are like, oh, I poop once every like 3 or 5 days. I'm just like, ugh. I feel bad if I don't poop every day, you know?
Well, and you want to talk about toxic buildup.
Seriously, we start uptaking that stuff again, and that is not good.
That's what, and my kids hate it because they're getting older now. But every time they're like, I have a headache or I don't feel good, I was like, well, did you drink water?
Have you pooped?
No. Did you poop?
Yeah.
Mom, why do you have to ask?
The path we should be teaching our kids is like, am I dehydrated? Have I been eating, taking care of myself? I've been moving well, rather than like, oh, I have a headache. I need an ibuprofen. I have a headache. I need my caffeine fix. You know, like better living through chemicals. Not the best. It works. Sometimes you need to do it. And like, I'm there. I'm human too. I need my coffee. I like my coffee. No, reframe there.
I choose to drink coffee.
That's right.
I need it. I have lived, you know, I don't know, how old was I? I lived a good 18 years before I started drinking coffee.
I didn't
Clearly,
start drinking
I
coffee
can live without it.
3 years ago. I guess it'll be like coming up in 3 years in March, but like, you know, hey.
Right. Yeah. I just, I love the thought that things don't happen to me, they happen for me.
Exactly.
And it's all about what are you going to do? You know, I was working in a physical therapy clinic at the beginning of this year. I was the wellness director there, and things were good. Suddenly, spring break happened. March 13th was the last time we saw patients in the office. Wow. What do I do? All right. I had already started getting another certification through ISSA. So I finished that up and got my corrective exercise specialist. Well, how did I know? I didn't, but everybody's going to be at home. Suddenly everybody's hips are really tight and they're like, oh, my back and all of this. You know, this situation that we're in created so many clients that don't have proper body structure or alignment and all of these things that I can talk to them just like we're talking and say, okay, how are you sitting? Where are you sitting? When you get up, you know, there's all of these different things. Could I have done that while I was still working in the clinic? Well, probably it would have taken me a bit longer. Right. But then I could also go on and get another certification and become a holistic health coach. Yep. I could not have done that all at the same time and be home with my kids and help them finish online schooling and start an online consulting business where I work with people to get them proper health plans, not insurance, health plans, help them work through business stuff, help them with mindset, get them on a nutrition path, get them into some supplementation that they are needing because they're lacking because their soils suck, everything else. Hello, 2020 was one of my best years.
Opportunity. When it knocks, are you willing to answer the door? And like pull your sleeves up? Like, you know, I have friends that are like, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. It's too much work. It's a lot of work, but it's also super fun because we get to be our own bosses.
You get to call your shots.
Yeah, I get to choose what I do, when I do it, how I do it. And and I get to consult. If I don't know everything. Certainly not. There's
Right.
so much to know in the world that it's damn near impossible to know anything really.
I love that I get to choose who I work with.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I know my limits. I'm not going to, like you, I'm not going to pretend I know everything, because good gravy, no, I do not.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of people, and through networking and like working with you and knowing the people that we know and the specialists here and there, we can find answers for people that do not involve referrals, 7-8 months on a wait list.
Yeah.
And just helping people. It is the most fulfilling thing on the planet. And you know what? There is nothing wrong with being fulfilled.
No, certainly not. It helps me get out of bed in the morning. And I don't even know, Carolyn, if this opportunity of you and I working together and collaborating would be as it is if COVID hadn't happened. And I have a cousin that reached out to me. She's in DC, and I don't know if her and I would be working together in the way that we are if COVID hadn't happened. Like, I feel like it has brought people together in other ways that were not expected.
Sure.
I didn't think I was going to be doing primarily telemedicine.
Right.
I had my first house call, but I'm primarily doing telemedicine, which 2 years ago, if you would have asked me, I'd been like, nah, none of that. But I actually think it makes things more available. It allows the world to be my oyster, which is super cool. And like, there's billions of people in the world, like, and I get to see the people I want to see out of the billions. Like, that makes my job a lot more fun for me. And I get to help the people I want to help that I know how best to help.
Yeah.
Cool. Feels cool.
Yeah. Well, I love working with you, Shayna, and I just think this is going to be so much fun. I don't know. What should we talk about next time?
We had talked about going into a few medical conditions that are quite common and nutritional deficiencies associated with them. And type 2 diabetes, man, is up and coming, and chronic kidney disease is about to be one of the leading causes of death in the United States because of diabetes type 2 being out of control. And that is one I have personally witnessed be reversed. It is a weak point for that person, but I mean, to see A1Cs drop dramatically from like the 14s to 5.3, which is considered not diabetic. And fasting blood sugars go from 400 and 500 to 100 to 140. I'm okay with that range. Hell, when you have a 450 blood glucose, like, that's amazing. And just without weeks.
Yes, without medications.
Correct. Without medication, it is absolutely possible. There's a lot of good that can be done.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk type 2 diabetes next time.
Yeah, I like that plan. Thanks, Carolyn.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll catch you later.
Okay.